My name is Dixie Rose. I am 29. My story is about my childhood and how I grew up and the things that happened that formed me into the woman that I am today. My household growing up was a very hostile environment. There wasn't much peace. I had a stepfather who was extremely abusive and a mother who wasn't around much. I grew up with my twin brother, and I have an older brother who's 2 years older than me. For the most part, my twin, due to mental health issues, was in and out of the home between hospitals and placement. I had broke a glass outside. It was summertime. Me and my brothers were running around. I want to say I was about 8. We were running around and I had elbowed a glass and it broke. And I knew what was coming if I didn't just run. I know I should have just went and told my mom or my stepdad that, oh, this is what happened, but I was more afraid of him finding out regardless that it was me, so I took off and I ran. We found out that it was me anyway, and he beat me so hard on my butt that the paddle broke in half, like a thick wooden paddle broke in half, and I couldn't walk for days right after that. There were instances that he showed up at my school, and I still to this day don't know how the school, and this was in elementary school, I still to this day don't know how the school allowed it to go on, but he would show up at my school when I was in first grade and pull me out of class because he was mad about something that happened and beat me in school, in the hallway. All of my schoolmates and friends knew him as the mean guy up until we got to high school or middle school and they saw who he was. And then he just became like that evil step-parent that you see in movies. But I was actually living it. I think the worst part was that he was a addict, so he binged a lot. And then when he didn't have his stuff, he was withdrawing a lot. So there was a lot of addict behavior already in my house growing up. I don't think there was ever a point in my home growing up that I ever felt safe, ever. I mean, I still have a terrible habit to this day of not being able to sleep. I have terrible insomnia. I'm on medication for it, and it still doesn't help me sleep. But you never knew when the next axe was going to drop. And it wasn't a shoe, it was an axe, and it was coming down hard, and it was going to hurt. Even having my mom, when she was in the home, when she wasn't working, she allowed everything to go on. She allowed him to physically abuse us because she also partook in that. When I was younger, my stepfather had a son. Me and my brother, my twin brother, were in the dining room playing with, I think, his cars or something. I can't remember toy. We were playing something. And I remember my stepbrother coming in and making my twin leave. I couldn't understand why he was making him leave. We were playing with toys. I remember him telling me to lay down and pull down my pants. I was so afraid at that moment, and I couldn't understand what was going on, what was happening to me, why he was doing this to me. He did what he did. I remember getting up and crying and just going to my room and just crying because I didn't know who to tell. I didn't know what to tell. I was little. I used to wear, well, my mom used to buy me, so I did have to wear little silk, white nightgowns. And I remember him coming to me and telling me that I needed to change into my nightgown. This was in the middle of the day. And I told him no. And he told me that I better, or something really bad was going to happen to me. And I remember telling him no again, and him going into my brother's room where they were wrestling and going after my twin and hurting my twin. And I couldn't do anything about it. He came out of their room after that and he came to me and he said to me, "Are you going to tell me no again?" And I just shook my head and cried. And he made me go and change into that nightgown. And I will never forget that to the day I die. I will never forget. Not long after that, my twin went to the school that he was going to and told them that my stepbrother was hurting us. And it opened up a case. It came out in court, and I ended up finding out when I got older that he flat out told them what he did. Like it was nothing. Like he could do it again. My mother initially found out from the school that my twin was going to that my stepbrother had been abusing us sexually and also physically. My brother did tell, that there had been many instances that my stepbrother had been extremely way too aggressive towards him that he shouldn't have been. But when my mom found out about that from the school immediately wanted to have a meeting and, they got CYS involved. So my mom was not happy about it. She immediately came to me and my older brother, at separate times. It was interesting because she took us at separate times to ask us about things. I'm not sure what my older brother told, but I am 100% certain that he had told my mom everything, that he had seen my stepbrother trying or doing things to me, and my stepbrother threatened him or, just wasn't very nice to him, awfully harsh and nasty to him. My mom had went through different meetings with all kinds of different people before my stepfather was back around. I don't know if he just vanished for a little while because it was his son under heat. I don't know. I just know when he did come back into the picture, he was more aggressive and mean than he was before. After an extended period of time and things had cooled down, my twin ended up in a placement for 2 years. During this time, my older brother was back and forth a lot between my cousins who lived in the garage above my grandparents, which lived next door to us. It was like my brother's out in his escape. My twin was in placement, therefore I was left home a lot with my stepdad. My mom still worked how she worked all the time. At first, it was just I was getting in trouble for dumb things, not having this chore done, not having that chore done, or something my older brother should have had done, wasn't done. And I should have done. We're in my house. It's evening. It's my mom. She's home from work because she worked day shift. I'm downstairs with my mom. I come running up the stairs to go into my room. And as I come running up the stairs, he is standing there like this, butt naked. And I just went, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And then everything just hit me. Is the same thing about to happen, because I didn't forget what his son did to me. So I don't say anything because I was terrified about what I went through with his son. I go to my room, time goes on. He doesn't say anything else. So then my brother gets a paper route. I don't know why my brother got a paper route, because my brother didn't want to do the paper route. At this time, it was, newspapers. You got to go to every house and deliver the papers. He didn't want to do it. Somebody had to do it. So, of course, it was me. So I get in the van, and, of course, I had to go with my stepdad because my mom had to go to work, which he was already pissed off because he didn't want to be doing my brother's job. I didn't want to be doing it either. At some point during that ride, I don't know why he did this, but we're at a food land, and he looks over at me and he says to me, you know that I can do things to you there, and points down at my private area with other things than my thing. And I just tried to ignore him. What are you talking about? Why are you talking to me? What are you talking about? I don't want to know. I get home, and obviously he's still irritated because I'm assuming he expected me to respond in some way to that comment. And I wasn't going to do that. And the moment we get through the door, he starts yelling at me, you need to go do this, you need to go do that. And I'm like, I'm not doing all these things. I have other things I have to do already. And then my mom comes through the door, and he's like, she's getting nasty or sassing me and, getting smart with me. And then my mom's getting on my back. I'm like, Mom, I didn't do anything. Like, I don't know what his problem is. So I eventually told my grandfather, my great-grandfather who lived next door, because it eventually, like, the stuff with my stepfather became more frequent. There were more comments made. He never actually got to the point of abusing me or molesting me, but he came pretty damn close. So I had wrote a really long letter, and when I wrote the letter, I gave it to my older brother. I said, do not open this, do not read this. Take this over to Papa. We called my grandparents Mama and Papa. He takes it over to him. My grandfather read it. I know my grandfather believes me, but the first thing he did was called my mom at work. My mom didn't believe any of it. She called the house. My stepdad answered the phone. She told my stepdad everything that I wrote in that letter that my grandfather recited to her. And he come upstairs just screaming at me. What the is your mom talking about? You're telling them that I said this and I'm trying to do this to you. What are you talking about? You're nothing but a liar. Da, da, da. And I'm just like, I don't even know what to do right now. Like, it's him and me. And we're like face to face. And I could just see the rage coming. I don't know what he is about to do to me. And I just remember seeing a phone go across the room and him just smacking me so hard across my face. And my mom come through the door because shockingly she left work. I didn't think she would, but I think the phone was still on and she heard him coming after me. But she come home and she just come running upstairs and she's like, what is going on? What is he talking about? What did you write? Da, 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 da. So I told her and she called me a liar. She said he would never do that to you. That's your stepdad. He's like your dad. Your real dad's not even around. He's been around your whole life. And I just couldn't believe what I was hearing. I'm telling you what happened. Why would I make it up? She went downstairs, grabbed garbage bags, brought them upstairs. She threw them at me and she said, pack your stuff. You're getting out of my house. I'm not going to have a liar living under my roof. And the first place I went was up to my best friend's house. She lived up the hill from me, and God rest her soul, she actually passed away a few months ago, unfortunately, unexpectedly. But I went up to her house, and she knew what my stepdad was doing because she was around me. She's like, oh, I gotta talk to my mom because, we're still 14. She actually was 13. And her mom didn't know anything of what was going on. And, she calls her mom, and she's like, Mom, this is what's going on. Like, she needs somewhere to stay. And her mom just didn't want any part of it. I understand that in some respects, but I guess in others I don't, because I am a mom. And I know if my daughter's friend came to me and told me that somebody was hurting her, I would absolutely take them in, even for a night, until I found somewhere for them to go. Because if you know something or you see something, you say something and you do something. When I was 14, I met my father for the first time. The moment I met him, we had an instant connection. I didn't care what my mom said about him. I didn't care what I knew about him. All I knew is at that moment, he showed up when nobody else did, or nobody else cared. Some time went by. I spent quite a bit more time with my dad, and I stayed with him quite often. It was between there and my grandmother's. It just wasn't the best, bouncing around. So I was at a car show in a town called Monongahela in Pennsylvania. And I had seen some guy that he was a little edgier, and that I thought, I'm 16 at this time. We met up, we switched contacts and started talking quite often. I started seeing him. He was 26. I knew something wasn't all there with him, but I was okay with that because, he had a baby mama and he had a son. I didn't want to be involved in drama, but I thought I knew what I wanted. We get together. We're together for a little while. I think maybe 6 months, we were actually like dating together before I found out I was pregnant. I didn't know what I was going to do because this is not the person that I wanted to have a baby. He couldn't keep a job. He had nothing to his name. I knew that it didn't matter. I wasn't going to give my baby up and that I was going to put my big girl pants on. And whether he walked out or not, I was going to raise my child no matter what. Fast forward to after my daughter's born, because prior to that, I will say there was kind of a relationship, like, an actual boyfriend-girlfriend relationship more than any other time. After my daughter's born, he can't keep a job. So he comes to me while I'm looking for work. Now, mind you, I'm trying to stay at home and be with my daughter. She's a newborn. I shouldn't be working. I'm looking for work anyway because I'm not the person to sit there and wait for somebody else. He comes to me while I'm in my bathroom and he says, "Hey, my friend Brandy has this gig. She wanted to know if you were interested." And I'm like, "Okay, well, what's the gig?" And he says, "Well, it's at this strip club." And I said, "So you want me to go and strip for money?" And he says, "Yeah." I said, "Are you out of your fucking mind?" And he says, "No, why not?" I said, "Do you have any idea what I have been through in my life?" And this is an honest to God conversation I had with him. I said, "I know I have told you time and time again the things that I went through with my stepbrother and my stepdad, and you want me to go and strip for money." It just got to the point where I got tired of hearing him, "Oh, why don't you go do it? Why don't you go do it? Why don't you go do it? It'll be quick, easy money. It'll be quick, easy money." So I went. And it was the most uncomfortable situation I'd ever been in my entire life, aside from what I went through growing up. And I just wanted to run out of there screaming and crying. Like, how could he put me in this situation? Not long after that, everything just kind of spiraled out of control because he did push the issue so much that I did end up going back in dancing, but I danced at a different club than the one that I started at. From there, led to a 10-year addiction, also led to abuse by other men of all sorts. Not that I allowed to go on, not that that behavior was okay to me or that I normalized it, because I did in no shape or form. But what behavior I did learn, I think, was the behavior of surrounding myself around bad men. And he himself, my daughter's dad, became an abusive person. Not sexually abusive, but physically abusive, especially when we're in play. See, I think there have been many times in my life that I think the only thing I've ever wanted was just not to be alone. So whether it was with the biggest piece of scum on the earth sitting right next to me, in some way, I still wasn't alone. I mean, it didn't take up until 2.5 years ago for me to actually finally be able to get my life together and finally get some clarity in my head. So many people just suggest, go into therapy and, this medication will work and that medication will work. I have tried trauma therapy. I have tried all types of different therapies. It's not for me. It's not something that's ever been beneficial to me. I didn't surround myself around good enough people that I could trust to tell things to. Eventually, though, 2.5 years ago, I did find somebody and meet somebody that showed me and has showed me what a good person is, and most importantly, what a good man is, because he is that in every way possible. But more importantly, something that he has given me that nobody else has. My fiance has given me security like I've never had before, comfort like I've never had before. But he has also given me the ability to be able to communicate, to open up. And, at this point, he pretty much He knows probably more about me and things that I have gone through than anybody in my life. But he's just been able to give me this open space in my head that I have clarity, that we have been able to talk through things, and he's helped me work through a lot of the things that I have kept inside for so very long. The things that when I went to therapies for just didn't work. I couldn't get out. I couldn't find the words to do so. And also given me that comfort of knowing if I tell you this, you're not going to take it and hold it against me. You're not going to take it and do anything with it, but keep it in you as something I told you. In the amount of love that this man has given me, I don't have words for it, because it has been the most beautiful thing. And he has such a connection with my daughter. My daughter and him have a very nice connection. It's pretty cool to see. So it's everything today I can say is beautiful. Life has so many bumps and roads and crazy twists and turns. You never know what's going to happen. But I could sit here and say today my life is beautiful, and I would not want it any other way, nor with anybody else. I'm not a person that likes to be alone, so I found my somebody that I don't have to be alone, and it's a good somebody. And we have a little dog, and we have my daughter, and it's beautiful.